Hello, my name is Sami Husseini, and this is my paper. Sami Husseini. Today is June 21st, 2026. I'm I'm doing a presentation today, and for my unit, let me go ahead and share this entirely. For my Unit 2 case connection presentation, I choose case 2 and case 3. Case 2 is about McCarthy disease, which involves muscle glycogen uh, phosphorylation deficiency. Case 3 is about neonatal hypoglycemia as an infant born to a mother with a poorly controlled digestive diabetes. We're going to start with case 2. And case 2 is McCarthy disease, also called glycogen storage disease type 4. The problem is the deficiency of the muscle glycogen phosphorylase. Normally, this enzyme helps break down a storage muscle glycogen into glucose 1 phosphate. Then glucose 1 phosphate is changed into glucose 6 phosphate, and glucose 6 phosphate can enter glycolysis and help muscle maintain ATP during exercise. And this is important because muscle needs quick energy when a person starts exercising, especially during intense activity. In McCarthy disease, the muscle has stored glycogen, but it cannot break it down normally. Because of that, the patient can feel tired quickly and might have muscle pain, cramps, or exercise intolerance. This is not mainly a liver glycogen problem because the liver can still help maintain blood glucose. The symptoms are most related to exercise and muscle energy use, which points towards the skeleton muscle. Even though this patient has trouble using muscle glycogen, low intensity exercise like walking may still be possible. This is because the muscle can still use blood glucose and fatty acid for energy. Some patients experience something called a second wind, which means that after slowing down or resting briefly, symptoms might improve because more blood glucose and fatty acid reach the muscle through circulation. For blood glucose, this patient usually would not need to wake up at night to eat. The reason is that her liver can still maintain blood glucose. Muscle glycogen does not raise blood glucose because muscle does not have a glucose 6 phosphate. That enzyme is needed to release free glucose into the blood, and the liver has it, but skeleton muscle does not. For lactate, she would not produce too much lactate during the intense exercise. She would usually produce less lactate than normal because less muscle glycogen is entering glycolysis. The less glyc the less glucose enters glycolysis, the less pyruvate and lactate are made. The bigger concern is not high lactate. The bigger concern is muscle pain, cramps, muscle injury, and dark urine from myoglobin. So the other explanation that she would have high lactate from intense exercise does not fit well because the blocked muscle glycogen breakdown decreases glycolysis from the stored glycogen. And for case 3 is a neonatal hypoglycemia in an infant of a diabetic mother. The main problem is that the baby has high insulin after birth. During pregnancy, the mother's high blood glucose crosses the placenta and goes to the fetus. The baby's pancreas responds by making more insulin. This high insulin helps move glucose into the baby's tissue. After birth, the maternal glucose supply suddenly stops when the umbilical cord is cut. However, the baby's insulin stays high for some time. Since insulin lowers blood glucose, it keeps moving glucose from the blood to the tissue. Insulin also decreases glycogenolysis and gluco gluconeogenesis. That means the baby is not breaking down glycogen or making new glucose as well as needed. Because of that, the newborn's blood glucose drops very low. That that explains the baby's symptoms, such as shaking, poor feeding, weak cry, and seizure. The brain depends heavily on glucose, so severe hypoglycemia can quickly become dangerous. This is not mainly a glycogen storage enzyme disease because the problem happens right after the birth due to the continued high insulin after the mother's glucose supply stops. This is also not only a calcium problem, even though low calcium can contribute to the system uh, because the very low glucose explains the poor feeding, shaking, and seizure more directly. And macrosomia means that the baby is larger than normal at birth. In this case, the baby weight is 4.5 kilogram. The reason for this to happen is that the mother's high glucose crosses the placenta and gives the fetus extra fuel. The fetal pancreas respond by producing more insulin. Insulin is not only a hormone that lowers blood sugar, it is also an diabetic hormone, meaning that this helps the baby body build and then store molecules. Insulin increases glucose uptake, glycogen storage, fat storage, and protein synthesis. Because the fetus has high glucose and high insulin, more energy was stored as fat and glycogen. This contributes to the babies growing larger and becoming macrosomic. So the large size is not random. It connects directly to the maternal hyperglycemia and the fatal hyperinsulinemia. The baby's high glucose and high insulin increases fetal growth and metabolism. Because because the baby was larger and more metabolically active, the fetus needed more oxygen. If the placenta if the placenta couldn't provide enough oxygen to match that increased demand, the fetus could develop chronic related to hypoxia. In response to low oxygen, the fetal baby releases more uh, erythropoietin. Erythropoietin tells the body to make more red blood cells. That explains uh, that explains the high hematocratic, which means the baby had too many red blood cells. This also connects to bilirubin. After birth, when the extra red blood cells break down, they produce bilirubin. More red blood cells breakdown can lead to higher bilirubin levels, which increase the risk of uh, hyperbilirubinemia and jaundice. jaundice. Um, so the high demand, so the high hematocratic and the bilirubin risks are not separate findings. They connect to the same process of increased oxygen demand, hypoxia, increased red blood cells production, and the red blood cells of the breakdown at the birth. All right, and we're doing a comparison and conclusion. To compare the case two is mainly an enzyme problem, and myocardial disease muscle glycogen phosphorylase is deficient, so storage the muscle cannot break down or store glycogen properly, yeah, during exercise. This is why the symptoms are mostly muscle fatigue, cramps, exercise intolerance. And for case three is a different because the main issue is a hormonal regulation. The newborn has high insulin after birth. Even though the maternal glucose supply has stopped, this causes glucose to move into tissue and lower blood glucose too much, leading to symptoms like a poor feeding, shaking, and seizures. Overall, both cases shows that glucose metabolism depends on working enzyme correct hormone signals and the different roles of tissue like muscles and livers. When one part of symptom does not work correctly, energy balance can be disturbed. And case two shows what happens when a muscle enzyme is missing, and case three shows what happens when insulin regulation does not match the baby's current state after birth. Both are connected to glucose metabolism, and they affect the body in different ways. And I have all the references here. Thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate your time. Have a good day.